Bet.
Hey, all right. So I am now on the line with Hueston Independent Spit District. You all are a rap trio, kind of including the rapper MC Equality, the MC Savvi, and the MC L da Voice. Is that right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Hey, I want to let y'all know. I told you earlier, man. I'm big fans. I'm big fans of your music, man. I love it. I love it.
Thank you. And just a point of clarification. We are the core, kind of the foundational members of H.I.S.D, but you know, it was a full collective. It was almost the size of Wu-Tang, or it was when it started. So it was like nine members. It was a whole collective of MCs, DJs, producers, and photographers.
Okay.
So it was multidisciplinary. So it wasn't just all rappers or all producers or all this. It was basically, you know, just a good melting pot of talent. And we were pretty self-sufficient with how we move, you know, so we could do anything. Nobody had to go anywhere to get what they needed to cook. So.
Okay. That's awesome, man. You all formed back in 2005. Then you all are born and raised in Houston, Texas. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. Yep.
Hey, perfect, man. I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. I want to thank y'all so much, man, for taking time out your day to talk to me. I really appreciate that.
Oh, thanks for having us, man. Anytime.
Hey, of course, man. So how I normally start this out, man, I like to hear about, you know, your childhood growing up in Houston. So I would love to hear from all of you. You know, what was it like growing up in Houston, Texas, man? What was that like for you all?
Just to, you know, to be brief with you, man, myself and Savvi, we went to the same high school here in Houston on the north side. So we've been knowing each other from high school, and then we went to the same college, Prairie View A&M University. So, you know, growing up on our side of town, man, we were exposed to a lot of different things. Musically, being from the South, you get the West Coast, you get the East Coast, and you get the Midwest.
Yeah, I've heard north side of Houston being referred to as the Harlem in Houston, essentially. So, you know, it was no shortage of getting that full, complete Black experience. So, you know, we had it all, you know what I mean? And so you met all types of basically Black people. So it was a predominantly Black side of town, at least the sections that we came from. And so, you know, that was a part of it. That was rural, or you could say, man, you could see somebody riding a horse on one block, and then you could see somebody driving Swangers and Vogues on another block, and you could see somebody with a nice Benz on the next block, or all on the same block, really. So so it was just like a nice melting pot of different experiences, and you know, it kept you real grounded in the culture, man. And you know, you couldn't, you know, if you was from the north side, you was on the pulse of a lot of stuff. So
for sure. And I totally agree. And so I grew up on the north side as well. Actually, at one point, Equality and I lived in the same apartments. We didn't know each other, but we lived in the same apartments at one point. You know what I'm saying? And so we all kind of grew up in the same space. You know, Savvi lived a little further away from us, but he went to high school in our hood. So it's like, you know, we kind of all had this Studiowood, Independence Heights experience. And what's cool about the area that we come from is that area was an independent Black-owned city. It was recently emancipated slaves came and started that city, and I don't think it got annexed into Houston until like the 1920s or 30s, and that was even some underhanded stuff how it became its own city. So, you know, the independence, you know, was there from the jump, just growing up in that area.
Yeah, and the high school that me and Sav went to was one of the oldest Black high schools in Houston. So, you know, before segregation, you know, it was only 3 Black high schools for you to attend, and our high school was one of the oldest.
Hey, okay, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was called Old Colored High originally. So it actually was the first school where Blacks high school that Blacks could attend in the city. Oh, wow. There's a lot of history in there, so you know. Just a little history nugget right there.
Yeah,
best high school marching band in the land. I don't care what anybody say. You know what I'm saying? Better know about Pops Bixby.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? OVC Washington High School for the people that's watching.
Okay.
OVC Washington High School, Houston, Texas.
Let me ask you this, man. I'm very curious to hear from you all. You know, how important was music growing up in your childhood for you all? And
everything.
And give me some of your your favorite artists growing up. Let me hear about that as well, please.
Go ahead, El.
Now I know for myself, you know, music was was a constant landscape. Growing up in Houston, unfortunately, another thing some of us in the group had it in common is coming from single parent homes. And so at one point, I actually had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air experience, going to live with my auntie and uncle, in the suburbs with their 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. That's a middle child. So that was like my real life experience for about 8 years. And so being like, some of the first Black people to move to the suburbs and living with my cousins and my aunt and uncle, I felt like a fish out of water, being from the hood, going to the suburbs. It was a weird experience. So, but our household was very culturally Black. And so I grew up here in the Gap Band, the Osley Brothers, Anita Baker, Sade, and don't get us debating on who's better. We have plenty of those, but, a lot of that in my household growing up. And, actually, I found out recently, like a year ago, that, the music was just in me from the jump because my pops played in Parliament Funkadelic and plays like 5 different instruments. So, it's just in there.
Yeah, I wish I had one of those great stories where where I had like some type of lineage of musicality and musicianship in my family, but unfortunately I don't. It was just the spirit and the movement, especially of hip hop, the elements of hip hop just grabbed me at a very young age, man. And it just never let go since, man. I remember we didn't have much growing up, we just to have a roof over our heads was kind of, and clothes on our backs was pretty much, the gist of it. And so like I wanted to be a DJ. That was really my first passion, was what I wanted to do. But, my moms and them, they weren't finna buy me no turntables and stuff when, we got to get groceries and stuff like that. And so really naturally what you can do without an instrument or anything like that is you can rhyme, you know what I mean? Or dance. Mm-hmm. And I got rhythm, but I got 2 left feet. So I can't really, I couldn't cut with the real B-boys and stuff. So, and then,
but you got that 2-step down though.
Oh yeah, to a science. And so, but what I actually kind of got into it was like I was the beatboxer, so I would actually make the beats for the other cats that would rhyme on the playground. And so that's how I got into it until one day I was like, man, I'm tired of beatboxing. I got bars too, you know what I mean? And so, I just been doing that since I started doing that at like 8 years old, writing little cheesy rhymes and stuff like that, and just beatboxing for everybody else in the crew. And it wasn't that I was the only one that could beatbox. I could do it for a long time.
Man, is beatboxing, is that extinct, man? I don't even know. You might have to give context to what that even means.
Oh, man. Straight up.
That's making music with your mouth. Yeah. That's Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh,
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Live. I'm not that young, man. I feel like you're trying to like sun me right now.
No.
For the people that watch this,
okay.
We got to give context nowadays because a lot of stuff is extinct, man. It's like
the DJ extinct too. The DJ pretty much extinct at this point too.
Yeah,
I learned how to rap from a DJ actually.
Yeah.
So.
Then I played the trumpet as well, so that's kind of where I got my formal musical training. So that's kind of where I learned how to, why things felt the way that they felt, and not just knowing how to do something, but knowing why it's good or why it's bad. You know what I mean? And so I played the trumpet for like 9 years. So I kind of got like the informal training just from just the essence of the culture and the vibe or whatever. And then also, I had to learn my scales and all that kind of stuff and my notes and my quarter notes. And I realized, reading music is just mathematics. It's just math, and rhyming is mathematics. You put the bars and that's really just a measure, and you got 4/4 time. And then I was like, okay, now everything just started connecting. And just after that, my mind just went crazy. So.
Yeah, for me, man, it was really just, growing up in an apartment community and, having, like Elle said, primarily single parents. So when our parents would go to work, we were in apartments and we would go outside and knock on our friends' doors. And the older kids would always enlighten us on the music. So if I'm a younger kid, the older kids that I looked up to, they had the tapes. They had the LL Cool J tapes. They had the Rakims. They had the Big Daddy Kanes. All of that music from like that golden era, they would play that for us. And so I got inspired with music through the older people in my neighborhood, man, to be honest with you.
And I think to add on to that, from my situation, not having a pops, growing up, I got my music from like uncles and older cousins, you know what I'm saying? So like my mom's brother put me up on NWA and Public Enemy, you know what I'm saying? And Metallica and AC/DC. He had an eclectic taste. Another uncle put me up on jazz music on like Stanley Clarke and, you know, Thelonious Monk. And so I got that from him. And then, you know, everybody contributed to my musical taste, you know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure they could say the same thing. It wasn't just, you know, one person or just our household. It was the block. It was the kids in school. It was, you know what I'm saying? The radio when it was good.
Yeah, to this day, man. And that's pretty much the essence. Like I'd like having like, you know, great minds around me, creative people and stuff like that. Cause it's like, it's almost like it's unfair because I get people that feed me or send me stuff, you know, that I might not have known about. And sometimes even when I'm not looking, I find stuff because, you know, just being around a collective of people who like are really into the music and who are digging in the crates and stuff like that. It's kind of really dope if you surround yourself around people like that. You're never going to be at a lack of being exposed to dope music, you know. So
I definitely understand that, man. I definitely do. Let me say this real quick. So in reference to your name, the Hueston Independent School District, I got this on Google. It says the Hueston Independent School District is the largest public school system in Texas and the 8th largest in the US. So I know y'all also dropped that nugget about where y'all went to high school and everything. I'd say that. So I'm very curious to hear, you know, how you all got together, how you all formed H.I.S.D. Talk me about that. You know, walk me through those early years when y'all first made this rap group.
I'll start it and then send it to Savvi L. Like I said, me and Sav met in high school, but we were not doing music together. And then we got to college and I was primarily doing poetry and Sav was doing hip hop. And during that time, we started connecting closer and closer on the music scene. So even after we graduated from high school, I was still on the poetry scene. He was on the hip hop scene. I was his link to the poetry scene. He was my link to the hip hop scene. And then one day he came and told me that he ran into this brother named H.I.S.D da Voice that was part of another hip hop group that was in college at Lamar University. So I'm gonna relay, hand the baton off to Sav and L. Y'all can take it from there.
Actually, I'll let L take it from there. Yeah, he was pivotal during that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was in college in this city, Beaumont, Texas, which is about an hour and a half east of Houston, and I met this basketball player, and you know, found out he produced, and I was looking for a producer bad because I think something else that, you know, that's important to touch on. Being with our style of music that we developed, you know, our style of rap, it wasn't very popular in Houston at the time. You know, screw music dominated Houston. And even though we appreciate that music, I can say personally, that wasn't my music. Even though I jammed screw artists, but it wasn't my music. Screw didn't become popular until I was a teenager. So by then I already had the stuff I liked. I was listening to Wu-Tang and the Roots and Common and, you know, so on and so forth. And so that was more my music, but I appreciated Screw. So, you know, being, you know, at a college in Texas where music that's not my music is the dominant thing, trying to find somebody that speaks the same language is hard. So I found this producer, you know, we linked up.
Hey,
and,
real quick, is that King Midas or?
No, that's how I got to King Midas.
Okay.
So this guy, he laced me up with a dope track. We recorded 3 more tracks, and he ended up graduating college. I didn't have a producer anymore. So King Midas, he was his roommate. He's like, yo, man, I don't know how to produce, but I love hip hop. You know, let me work over the summer. I'm buying a computer. I'm gonna get this program because Ninth Wonder used Fruity Loops. So I'm gonna get this program and I'm gonna learn it. And I'm gonna have some beats for you starting in the fall. So this was like the fall of 05. So we get back to school. He had the beats. I laid out a first track. And oh man, it was crazy. And so we put it online. This dude named PJ, he hears it. He's like, yo, I'm having this show at this place called Anton's, and I want your group to perform because that track you got is crazy. So we go to the show. We watch Sav and E because they were performing at the show as well. And me and Midas, we looking at them like, yo, these dudes is bananas, because it started off, he was doing some poetry, and then like it was totally a cappella. He's doing some poetry, there's Savvy back door, and then they just going back and forth with no beat. And so after he finished this intro, I'm like, they speak my language. And then they started doing the rest of their show and performing some songs. I'm like, man, these cats is dope. I got to get to know them. We end up getting bumped from the show and not even performing that night. But I was such a big fan of Black Embassy, which was Ian Sav's group at the time. I met with them, met with Savvi, like, yo, man, let me get your number. I want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? And he had actually heard the track that I did. It was like, yo, man, I heard you. You dope, man. Let's talk. So we ended up talking, I think like the next day, probably.
Yeah, at that point, we started talking like every day.
I was going to say, we talked every day for probably about 5 years, like no lie. And we realized we were just so much alike when it came to music. It was like he had a label already and it put out a solo record. And, you know, I'm like, yo, man, let me work with you. Let me help you build this label. And so he was like, cool. And so I started helping him with the label. And, you know, my group, Daily Supplement, we wanted to work on an album, you know what I'm saying, on his label. And so we made this song, Only a Fool, for our album. And I'm like, yo, let's have the whole crew on it. You know what I'm saying? So I wrote my verse and passed it on over. And then Sav jumped on there and killed it. Everybody jumped on there and it came out
that's kind of how we became
nice. And that's how we became a crew from that one song that was actually supposed to be on Daily Supplement's album. But it was so good, man.
I definitely know. I remember Only a Fool. That's a banger, bro. I know that joint.
Yeah, that was the first group song we did together. So mind you, when we went into that, so we started working on the label because when L da Voice hit me up, he was like, man, that label Peace of Mind that you on, you know, are they a good label? How they treating you? I was like, I am the label. And so I remember that conversation vividly. It's like, oh man, we gotta work together, man. I want to help you with it. And so we started building the roster like immediately. So L was doing his A&R thing. He was I was like, man, I like this guy over here. I like this guy. He would go and talk to him. And then next thing you know, we had like 10 people. And we was like, okay, we all gonna work on a mixtape. We're gonna do our own individual projects, whoop-de-whoop. And I'm over thinking in my head, I'm like, man, how are we gonna put out like 10 projects? We can barely afford to put out one because putting out records cost, you know, especially back then. Like you had to press up
no streaming
stuff and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so like as L said, he had a track for him and King Midas, which was Only a Fool. And then L, he was like, he got in the truck one day. He's like, man, this is the song that L, you know, King gave to me, you know, but I think we should all get on it. And so he's like, man, this is my verse right here. So he spit his verse. And then he's like, but this right here, this is how you gonna come in. I'm like, oh, that's how I'm gonna come in? All right. And so, but the song, again, it just came out so dope. It was like, man, it just only made sense. I was like, man, we should be a group or whatever. And then if you listen to the District, the whole album, you'll hear kind of like elements of a mixtape because you have solo songs by almost, you know, some of the other different members, or you have me and E on a song, or you have, you know, L by itself or Scotty spitting by himself or something like that. So you can kind of tell it's kind of like a hodgepodge or whatever, or a collage of all of our ideas and stuff. But yeah.
At the core, it was 4 MCs and 3 producers making the music.
So Scotty spitting, the way he actually came into the group, so him and King Midas are brothers. And so Scotty had just graduated from I think Iowa State University University of Wyoming. He played basketball there, and he had came down to visit his brother at school. And you know, I left a notebook at King Midas's room, and I guess Scotty was using it, and he wrote something in the notebook. And so I got the notebook back, and I'm going through my notebook, and I see a rhyme in that notebook that ain't mine, but I'm reading it. I'm like, yo, that's dope. And so I go to Golden. I'm like, yo, man, who wrote in my notebook? He was like, man, that was my brother Pierce. I'm like, really? And he was like, yeah, man, let's I'm like, yo, that's dope, man. Can he rhyme? Or is he just writing stuff? He's like, nah, he can really rhyme. And so, you know, I get with him, encourage him to, you know, spit. And then next thing you know, he came into the collective as well.
Let me ask you this real quick, man. Talk to me about how y'all came up with the name Hueston Independent Spit District. And also, you know, the way y'all spell it, because that's different as well. I want to say this real quick. You know, I did a little bit of research, man. You know, the S can stand for what is it? The slang district, the soul district, the style district, the sound district.
For sure. Yes, sir.
Talk to me
Yes,
about
good homework. I like that.
Hey, but talk to me about talk to me about how y'all came with the name, man, and the spelling as well.
That was more of I would say Scotty Spitting. We were all sitting around throwing names in the hat, trying to, because we were still at that time we were all individual groups. So and going into it after hearing Only a Fool, it was like, okay, man, maybe we could be a group. So we were thinking about our favorite groups that we like De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Outkast. We were just going through names, and Scotty said H.I.S.D. And we were all, we were products, myself, Savvi L da Voice, of H.I.S.D, which is, like you said, the Hueston Independent Spit District. But of course, we couldn't use school district. So we changed it, and it was like, okay, let's use, Spit District. So the name was just birthed from us just throwing a bunch of names around. And then it was that aha moment when he said H.I.S.D. And then after that, we just had to come up, with the acronym. And that's when it was the Hueston Independent Spit District. And then later, Sav added the slang district, the style district, any way you flip it. So that became like the moniker behind the name.
And actually, Sav is the one who created the HUE. You know what I'm saying? Spelling Houston that way. That's all Sav.
Yeah, just with
sure.
hip hop, we take something and we flip it and make it ours. So that was our way of saying, okay, we're from Houston, but Houston can represent everyone else. So those hues is represent all the different hues, no matter wherever you go on. It doesn't matter what part of the earth you on. If you got that hue in you, you represent it.
Yeah, that's one of the beautiful things about hip hop, and the language of art. It was called language arts back in the day. But the beauty of hip hop is that you have basically carte blanche what you can do with the language. You can twist things, you can bend things, you can completely flip it. I mean, bad means good in hip hop. Mm-hmm. So I was like, yeah, I love playing with words, and I think that's probably one of the gems that hip hop culture produces, like the things that you can do to stretch and bend, like the English language.
Yeah, Sal's first project before any of us made the H.I.S.D project, he had a project called the Hueston Chronicles. And the Hueston Chronicle was a newspaper in Houston, but he spelled it H-U-E as opposed to the original spelling of Houston. So it's kind of play on words, even with that first album.
Right.
I want to hear your opinions on some of my favorite songs from you all, man. So tell me about A District Story, that song, your intro, I believe, to that album. Talk to me about that joint, because I love that joint. That's a banger.
Oh, that was me, man. Just flipping a lot of the Houston high schools, man. If you listen to it, because the album was called The District, based on H.I.S.D playing off of the H.I.S.D school district. So it was kind of in the spirit of like the Slick Rick. I kind of started it off with like the Slick Rick type vibe, a children's story, and starting out with with the original black high schools, Booker T. Washington, Wheatley, and Yates, and then from there. It's just a whole story integrating all of the Houston high schools and H.I.S.D, man.
Talk to me about Recess featuring Kimmy J.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that was me and El da Voice kind of vibed on that, but we definitely wanted to kind of bring like that was really just a tribute to Jay Dillon. That's really was the idea for the song.
That was the vibe.
That was the whole. If you feel the vibe, if you're familiar with Slum Village, you heard just the the kind of the little swing, the swing that the Slum is very famous and known for. We just kind of took that and put our own H.I.S.D spin on it, and then we added the poetry to the spoken word / rap with Space Bunny Jefferson, and she did her thing on there, and the rest is history. So it wasn't a rap song, it wasn't a rhyme song.
That album was like a day of school. Am I right, John? That was the idea. That was the theme. That was the concept. So recess was like actual it's recess time.
Mm-hmm.
So you had the school bell ringing throughout that album to kind of alert, like go to the next class.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think Scotty Spittin, like between I think Scotty Spittin kind of summed up who we were in the sense when he says we all crew with different styles, you know what I'm saying, and mix it in a beef stew. You know what I'm saying? Like that's essentially who H.I.S.D was, and that's why you got the whole HUE with the U, you know what I'm saying? We all add different color and flavor, to what we were doing.
And yeah, I don't know if you kind of were familiar with like hip hop at that time or whatever, but one thing that that kind of always kind of rubbed me a certain way is like with the hip hop crews, it was like one person that was like clearly the best out of like heads and heels above everybody, and I never liked it. I was like, man, I wanted my crew to be like so thorough, like from top to bottom, that you can even pick your favorite, because it's like, man, everybody coming with it, like on every track, from production to rhymes to styles and stuff like that. I was like, man, I want a super crew. I don't want just a crew. So,
tell me real quick, who produced District Story, that the initial song, or was it all three producers on that album, a mixtape?
Yeah, they were going by Golden Soul Classics. So it was King Midas who was Golden, Soul One, and E Classic.
Three dudes. So I'm not sure who put the touches on that one. I'm sure that they all probably touched that in some type of way. So
talk to me about Sweet off of Summer Sessions EP. I don't know if you remember that one.
Sweet. Oh, love this song.
Yeah, King Midas. I mean, he just looped that joint. I forgot where he got it from. Yeah. He shot us the loop, and that time, man, that was like that was the quickest we ever did a record. Like we really did Summer Sessions in like 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Yeah, like, we needed something to hold people over into the next full length.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah,
Sweet, what's crazy, that EP is what kind of got us noticed. Really, it wasn't the District. It was actually Summer Sessions EP. Is what ended up on Questlove's radar, and from him giving us a shout out, that kind of made everything just kind of start taking off.
Yeah, but Sweet, man. Yeah, we were just kind of playing on the word sweet. That's it. It was like just MCing, like, folk style, and okay, like this is the topic. Sweet. Whatever comes to mind, just write a rhyme to it and see what happens or whatever.
And with us, you got 4 different perspectives. Yeah. So topic wise, we get the beat and we all attack it from a different way. It was kind of like a miniature Wu-Tang, take half of Wu-Tang, without 9 MCs.
Hey, talk to me about Going Off Patron. Talk to me about that.
that was really just satire, That was King Midas, and what's the other brother, man?
That was Cosmos on there.
That wasn't Cosmos. That was what was his name?
That's a banger. That's a banger track.
I can't think of his name.
He wasn't officially in the group, but that was more of like a playful satire to what was going on in hip hop around that time.
Yeah, it was the dude, the truth in the booth. His name is Jamal or whatever.
Jamal. Yes, Jamal.
Without Patron.
Yeah.
And it was
he was Golden's best friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It was playing with the whole the Houston kind of style of rapping, and it was like a fun song added as a satire.
Yeah, we always had those comic relief moments in almost all of our records. But the crazy thing is, even though we were just playing around, just like 3-Story House, where we just kind of messing around.
That's the next joint, bro. I love 3-Story House.
It's the same 2 guys.
A lot of times people don't realize it's satire. Like we just kind of like
we said, and those balls, those are real Cambodian grasshopper balls.
Yeah, I mean, because we come from an era when hip hop they did that kind of stuff. You listen to De La and groups like that; they had certain little satire, or Outkast with Pimp Trick, Gangsta Click. They had satire. So we were inspired by that kind of stuff.
That was the next one. I love 3-Story House, man. That's a funny joint, bro. Hey, talk to me about
jam regardless, even though it's funny. It's got the slap.
It's fire, bro. Hey, talk to me about the Hue. We got a song called Heat. Talk to me about Gamma and Beta, because I think both those joints are fire.
Yeah.
Man, we'd be forgetting about it. Somebody played that for us, or somebody told us about it the other day.
I especially love Beta. Beta's fire.
That was so that was the MOP sample. I won't say sample, but yeah, we chopped up their hook. Man, we just went to town, man. I think King Midas cooked that up. He cooked those up, man, and I think it was just like an in between album kind of joints. We was like, let's get something out there. Let's just crank out something so while the people are waiting, they can have some H.I.S.D in between the weekend and the Hue. Or that's probably when it happened.
Instead of calling it a remix, we just call it the Gamma and the Beta. We were always trying to be creative with how we presented stuff.
So that's really one of my favorite joints by the crew, like real talk. You know what I'm saying? I remember the first time I actually hadn't seen the cast in a while, and they had a show, and I went to it. I think that was one of their first times performing that joint, and it was so fire. I was like, you know what I'm saying? It was one of them joints. You know what I'm saying?
That's a banger, bro. I love that joint. Real quick, I want to talk about the Weeknd album, man, but I know we got a lot of time. Hey, so talk to me about, I don't know, this might be my favorite song. Talk to me about Lando. Talk to me about that joint, bro.
That was our official, like, if you want to call it, first single that we came out. And during that time, man, we were kind of going against the whole swag movement.
The death of swag. It was Lando.
So, you know, it was like everything was swagged out at that time. It was swag. So we wanted to come up with a different term for swag. We were just coming up with our own vocabulary. So Lando from Star Wars, Lando Calrissian, and Billy D. Williams was always equated with style. Whenever you saw the Code 45 videos or commercials or the movie Mahogany, Billy D was like the epitome of style. He was like the first Denzel type of dude. So we were looking for something that's an alternative to swag that fit us. So Lando was it. And so that was just us kind of displaying our freshness, our swag, just using a different term and paying homage to that character as well as Billy D. Williams.
Hey, and real quick, last thing, man. I guess talk to me about what I want to ask you. Talk to me about, I guess you kind of said it, but the death of swag, is that what Spaced Up is? Talk to me about space. Yeah.
Yeah, so but if you think about the Weeknd, like that album, it's a concept record, right? And I think that's the crown jewel of our catalog. Because of the way that we approached it. We designed that record, we engineered it. So we didn't just go in there and start making albums. Like we basically wrote down the names of the songs without even knowing what they would sound like. For instance, we said, we have a song called Lando. We're gonna make a record that sounds like Lando. You know what I mean? We have to make a song that sounds like Audubon. What is Audubon? I mean, you drive on, like, what does it sound like in music? So we basically reverse engineered the album, and we were very detailed and particular about how we put it together. We even wrote a comic book that goes along with it. We created a dictionary, that we wrote out. So we created our whole language, this whole alter universe called the Hue or whatever, Planet Peace of Mind or whatever, which was parallel to, Houston and being in Texas and being and all this or whatever. So it's this other dimension that we transported to in that album. And that album was a story of our experiences when we transported to this whole alternate universe. You know what I mean? And we had to have our own language. We had to have our own places. Seeing green, being valuable to your community, you know what I mean? Or having paper, you know what I mean? Space up, which means going to another level, always continuing to elevate. Space up was like the coin phrase for that whole record.
Yeah, we had like
you got to get your space up, and it's 5 steps to spacing up. Yeah. So you got to be rocking, you got to be seeing green, you got to be Lando. It was just like the whole thing, you know what I mean? Cranberry, you know what I mean? So it was a whole
new beginnings.
Yeah.
And so I noticed as well that y'all spelled the Weeknd kind of different. And I saw that y'all said we thought we should have something like the weekend to end the week. The week could be a personal weakness or any problem or distraction. I guess talk to me about, I guess what you mean by that. Talk to me about that real quick.
Man, so I mean,
challenging the week.
Yeah, looking at the climate of things, we wanted to, put an end to anything that we thought was weak out there. You know what I mean? And so, it's the automatics, they'll get you. You know what I mean? The automatics in life, they'll take you off your path, or whatever. And so you gotta be focused or whatever, and you gotta know what your purpose is. And just really just continuing to elevate and to space up. And so, like I said, the Weeknd, it was a double entendre for because actually, I remember now why we named it the Weeknd. A part of why we named it the Weeknd, because obviously we kind of had careers as well at the time, and so our time together in the studio was very limited. And so a lot of times I was on the road traveling with my gig, with my job, and so we only had like Friday through Sunday or Friday through Saturday to work on the record, or to be together while we're working on the record. And so our sessions were like, we committed as a group. We said, okay, no matter what, every Saturday or every Friday, I think it was every Saturday.
Every Saturday at noon.
At noon, we're going to get together and we're going to cook on this album. We're going to slow cook it, and and we're going to design this album and make what we wanted to make was the best album that we had ever heard. That was our mission with the Weeknd record. And I think, at that time, I think we achieved that or whatnot. But yeah, so it's the Weeknd, ending the week, because we got to have to play on words, and we got to destroy what's out there that we think is weak, whether it's personal weakness, internal weakness, or external weaknesses. And then, you know, also the weekend is when we, you know, communed as a group. So
tell me about how was the critical, I guess, reception? You know, how was the reception to your first album? That was your first official album, right?
No.
Okay.
The District was our
Okay,
first
I'm sorry.
album.
So what was the reception to the weekend then? I'm sorry.
We didn't get the reception that we thought, because we thought the week was gonna end and it was gonna be like our kind of music at the top of the but no, to be serious, it did what it needed to do, man. It attracted some of the people that we looked up to. So it caught the attention of the Ali Shaheed Muhammad's, the Ninth Wonders, the Fontaines, the Questloves. I mean, a lot of different people, the Scarfaces here in Houston, Scarface. People like Devin the Dude, R&B. So, I mean, even if it didn't touch the masses in bulk numbers, we know that we left a mark, and the people that needed to hear it heard it. And it probably had an effect on some of people's favorite artists, whether they admit it or not.
I definitely think it touched the music industry, like those in the industry. At one point, you know, I think we were a lot of, you know, favorite rappers, favorite rap group. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people knew about us in the industry.
Like the best kept secret too.
Yes. Because it'd be like people like, yo, like I remember meeting, talking to Ninth Wonder at South by Southwest. He's like, oh man, I F with y'all, love y'all, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and different people would do stuff like that. You're like, hey, let's make something together.
But I mean,
that's how it was.
But to be fair, just getting the admiration from people that were influences to us was enough, you know. But
the craziest thing,
we got a lot of good press though. We got some good press.
And this is pre-streams, you know. This is pre the stuff that you have to do now. I mean, we were independent, you know. Peace of Mind is an independent label. So we didn't have the big machine behind it to push it like some of these other artists may have had. You know, you got artists that even if the music wasn't good, they just throw $500,000 and pay the radio stations to get it in rotation. So we did it very organic, very grassroots. If you were a fan of it, then, you know, it was like you really sought out good music at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, man, you know, I like all your stuff, man, but I feel like The Weeknd had the most bangers in my opinion, man. As far as like tracks, man. Bangers, bro. I'm serious, man.
The Weeknd was serious, man.
That's why I said it's the crown jewel, man. That's why I said that, because it ain't a dull moment at all.
It's cool for me, man, because I'm serious, man. I'm a fan of your music, man. So it's really cool, man. It's super cool.
It's definitely good to connect with people, like, you know, because we don't know like who the music has touched. You know, I mean, The Weeknd, it charted in Japan. Well, our vinyl. Our vinyl charted in Japan. A lot of, you know, London, a lot of places really gravitated to our music. We just didn't, you know, see that boom, like, you know, statewide. But I mean, we don't even know, like, you know, like the reaches of the music that it's, you know, made so far. Like I said, I've had people, you know, try to find me from like Japan, like, yo, I love your stuff, and you know, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, man, how did you really, you know, get it or get into it? And you know, I guess when it's, you know, when it's good, people will find it, you know what I mean? And they'll find you.
It's hard to track the metrics pre-streaming, because somebody get it and they don't know how to find it from us. You know, they gonna dub it and give it to somebody, or somebody listening, you know, so it could have been 1 million people that heard it.
We came out of it.
Getting bootlegged a lot.
It got bootlegged a ton.
Some distributors picked it up initially in different countries, and one day the orders just completely stopped. But the music was still circulating, so but that's okay, you know, as long as it got to where it needed to go, you know.
So real quick, you guys are on Spotify. I think all three of your albums and mixtapes are on Spotify at least.
It
should be.
Okay, you definitely.
So people now,
Summer Sessions isn't there, but the other two things are there.
Yeah, now, man, people can go back and they can listen, man, and they can really hear everything that we're talking about in this interview. You know, hopefully they get that same feeling that you got.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, and definitely, if they want to go through the catalog, they can go to our Bandcamp site or go to peaceofmind.com, and you can stream everything that H.I.S.D has ever put out, as well as the other acts that were on the label.
And we got vinyl. So
we still got vinyl. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we still slaying that vinyl. We analog dudes still, you know.
Yeah, for the collectors.
Yeah, for sure. I think something else that's interesting to put out there too. I think a big reason why, like you hear Savvi talking about, we really don't know how many people our music reached, because we actually, if you think about what was going on in like 2007, we put out our first record. You know what I'm saying? Music was in a transition period.
Right.
You know, the whole Napster thing had just happened a few years before, where he got sued for streaming and all that, and then Soulja Boy hadn't changed the game yet with what he did. With what it had, well, and neither had what's his name, Radiohead. You know, when they came out, when they decided to put their album out for free, wasn't it Radiohead who did that? If I'm not mistaken, who did it first? Yeah, and so we came out between Napster and between Radiohead and between Soulja Boy. So we were in this weird space where music was changing and how people got their music was changing. And we hadn't fully adapted to the new way of getting music. We were always, we were there, but we were still kind of a little bit behind in certain aspects. And so we just really don't know who all this reached, but it's reaching people. I know they've experienced, just like I have, randomly be out somewhere, even in 2021, randomly out somewhere. Somebody's like, yo, I dig your music. Or, you know, I work in education. I'll have students be like, hey, man, your group is fire. They parents coming up to me, yo, I put my kid onto your music. Like, crazy stuff, man. So you can't hide. You know, it's out there.
I think that's like a great transition, man. Let me ask you this, or as somebody who's outside of this music industry, man, talk to me about, you know, I guess, you know, what that beast is like. What is the music industry like? Because you all had the talent, in my opinion, no doubt, man. You know, talking about the business and all that, the background, I guess. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were fortunate enough to be kind of outsiders in that we operated in our own little vacuum. Sal was the owner and founder of Peace of Mind Entertainment. So everything that we did what we wanted. We didn't have a record label telling us, no, you can't do this, or you have to do this, or you got to come up with a dance, or you got to do, like, we didn't put out music under those kind of circumstances. So our experience was total freedom to do it how we wanted to do it. That's why the music sounded the way it did. We were not a part of the so-called machine of being signed to a particular record label that would put you on the shelf if you didn't have a hit song.
Yeah, and we've also had opportunities to kind of, like, where we came like right here this close to the beast, or had opportunities where we could have, like, okay, well, let's go ahead and get on and this label wants to kind of work with y'all and put y'all out. But they came with stipulations. Like, they immediately wanted to ask us to make records that was like everybody else that was putting stuff out. Like, you know, like the EDM and techno was starting to get big at that time. It was like, well, we just need y'all to make this one song that's kind of like this. It's already produced. Y'all just add a couple lines. It's already written. And we're like, hold up, that's not H.I.S.D. You know what I mean? That's not the Spit District, the Slang District, just going riding the wave. And we know, like, once you agree to something like that, you can never go back. Even though they say, you know, you don't, all they need is one song like that. You know, they want you to keep doing that over and over, or they're gonna basically kick you out of the machine. You know, and so we walked away from a couple of opportunities of that magnitude on a major magnitude. Because they were going to try to change who we were. And I just felt like I would feel guilty, like, because I know we already developed a following from the ground up. I was like, man, what are these people going to think that rock with us if they see us doing, you know, what Soulja Boy is doing, or what you know, whatever the techno wave was doing, like, at that time. Like, and it's not a knock to them, because, you know, they have a lane and a style, but our style was distinct for a reason. Like, we handcrafted our shit, you know what I mean, for, you know, specific audience and for, you know, specific, you know, time.
Hey, real quick. I would love to see a Space Up dance, man. Let me see something, bro. Come on,
hey, man. Make a video, man.
Hey, come on, man.
Whoa,
it's different people that made videos, man. There's some B-boys made a video off our song Cranberry. You know, so hey, man, put it on TikTok, man. Hey, do what you got to do, man.
Yeah.
But I will say we were fortunate enough to make music because we wanted to, not because we had to.
Yeah.
So we made music out of not out of a necessity, like, I gotta feed my mama, I gotta buy my mama a house, I gotta feed my family with this. We didn't make it out of desperation.
And there's pluses and negatives to that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like they saying, we did it because we wanted to, because we love music. We dedicated our time to it. I mean, all of us had jobs. All the MCs had college degrees. Some of us had master's degrees. So we weren't just hungry to take anything that people had to offer. You know, we grew up, you know, listening to Tribe and Daylight. You know, Tribe told you industry rule number 4080, record company people are shady. You know what I'm saying? You a kid, you hear that, you get it. And being from Hustletown, USA, you know, where, you know, we not close to LA or New York, you know, the major music markets. You got to get it how you live, you know what I'm saying? So hustling out your trunk, that's where it's at. So popping that truck and hustling, that's where it's at. So that's what we did, you know, and the benefit, we got to do what we love to do. We didn't have to compromise. The negative part of that is, of course, you know, the record sales, all the other stuff that come with that, you know, we didn't get that, but we could look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, hey, we did what we wanted to do.
I'm curious, man, when y'all coming out, how were y'all spreading your music? Was it just, you know, cassettes out the trunk, man? Was it Facebook, or I guess MySpace, maybe even at that time? Was it YouTube? What was y'all, I guess, marketing plan in the early stages?
So at that time, so we had just left the cassette phase. We were in the CD era when we first started releasing. But yeah, we was doing it out the trunk, you know, obviously doing shows and slanging our CDs and merch at shows and whatnot. But so basically, yeah, so that's when, that's like when MySpace was popping. And it's kind of crazy. I remember like when we put out summer sessions, right? And I think you could have like a playlist of 4, and we had like 4 songs up there. And then we put out summer sessions, and then Questlove shouted us out. We were getting like 100 plays a day. The next 3 or 4 months, we were getting like 10, 15,000 plays a day on MySpace, just off of Questlove saying, hey, these kids from Houston are dope. Y'all need to check them out. You know what I mean? And so it just kind of went bananas. But the thing is, like, we didn't capture the data that we could have probably used and leveraged, right? So it wasn't like they were on our email list, they were on MySpace. And then we all know what happened to MySpace. I think if we were like if we kind of were more visionary about where the internet was going and what it was becoming, because this is right before Internet 2.0, before the Facebooks and all that. Like, if we could have captured all of those, like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people or tens of thousands of people who like heard us at that time and got their information, then it might have been a whole different story. You know what I mean? As far as like the success financially. So
I agree.
I understand that, man. Man.
Oh, but wait, to add to that, because I think this is important. The way we got most of our following really was word of mouth, man. That's right. Yep. Like, we had very loyal fans or supporters. I won't say fans. We had very loyal supporters who would like tell a friend who tell a friend who tell a friend. Like, and that's really
that's the thing.
You remember that time that a guy from, I think it was Hip Hop DX, did a bad write about us?
Yep.
Man, it was just like a lot of people that we didn't know them. They came out defending us, man. And that let us know that, wow, we are reaching people. Even
they reviewed your album. I was reading that before I called you all. I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't know we had a beehive, but we had a beehive. They was like, "What are y'all talking about?"
And to be fair, that brother that did that, he reached out to us and he actually came. And he was like, "Wow, I didn't know that y'all had this kind of following."
Yeah.
He didn't really understand the music, you know.
Yeah. And shout out to Wax Poetics too, because we talk about Questlove, but what's his name, Andre?
Yeah, Andre.
For Wax Poetics, he was probably the first person to. I think he's the one that told Questlove about us, right? Or was it the opposite?
It was the opposite way. Questlove shouted us out, then he caught wind of that, and so he went and listened to the summer sessions. Based off of the Questlove shout out, and then after that, he liked the summer sessions, but it wasn't his thing. He's like, "Man, you got anything else that y'all done you can send me?" So I sent him the District, and he's like, "Oh my God, that is like, we love it." So he's like, "Man, everybody in the office, in the whole Wax Poetics office, the whole staff, he's like, man, we love that. We play that album like every day from top to bottom." Yeah, and so you know, it's like the music was speaking. That's the thing. So we have never bought followers. We ain't never paid for no bots and no
radio play. Little
to no radio play. And everything that we got has been on the strength of how dope the music was. Every shout out, like, we didn't even know these people. Like, I couldn't shake Questlove's hand directly, but he heard how somehow the music got to him. and he's like, man, this is like, I'm invoked. I have to say something about this. You know what I mean? So
yeah, music spoke for itself.
Yep.
I know y'all busy, man. Y'all about to do your own podcast. Speak on your podcast real quick, if you don't mind.
It's called Gentleman's History Hour. It's on YouTube. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on all of the streaming services. We have various topics, various subjects. It's not music related, even though our background is music. We want to show something different on our platform. We feel like it's enough music podcasts for people. It's enough sports podcasts, but we want to come with something different, man, and talk about history from all different levels. How history is the compass for the past and for the now. So every Thursday, you go in, subscribe, go to the YouTube channel, Gentleman's History Hour, and we talked about everything from the Tuskegee experiment. We talked about, we've compared the Black Panthers to hip hop groups. We've talked, man, it's just a wide range of subjects that we've talked about, and we're in season 2 right now. So we encourage people to log on to see a different side of us outside of just rapping and talking about music.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And last thing, real quick, how can people get in contact with you? How can they reach out to you all?
Well, most definitely, like I would just say that everybody can follow the Hue Life at TheHuelife. That's the portal into our world, and then you go down that rabbit hole, you'll find each and every one of us one way or another. So
I know y'all don't got a lot of time, man, but real quick, tell me this, what's next for H.I.S.D? Are y'all completely businessmen now? Are y'all squares, done with the rap game? What is it?
We wash, dog. Wash life. Certain members have went different directions, still doing music. Music is still at the core. The name H.I.S.D actually kind of morphed into just being called the Hue. So the latest group is myself, Sav, and a lady named Alicia Miles, and we're putting our music under the name the Hue. L is our brother, so L whenever you want to rhyme, But L is was like one of the first to see the world bigger than just hip hop, and L started a family, man. He understood that music is one thing, but manhood is another, and taking responsibility and being married and starting a family and music. And I don't mean to speak for you, L. I'm just saying.
I appreciate it. Respect.
Is that, hey, that's in the forefront, so that we have to respect that,
Yeah,
what's crazy, man.
We've also evolved as well. I'm sorry, L, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good, bro. Go ahead.
Obviously, we're doing a little bit of content creation. We have a podcast as well. We're still slanging our apparel, our merch. You know what I mean? Real heavy out there right now. So we stay cooking, and we still stay creative. He's a poet. He's a writer. He calls himself a writer. Like, he doesn't even like to call himself a rapper. He's a writer. You know what I mean? So he still does, he's performing on different various stages like Jones Hall in Houston and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we, we're creative people. So our gears are going to always be turning, one way or another. Music is our foundation or whatever, but it's just a springboard for the other stuff that we do.
Yeah, H.I.S.D it's part of the story. It's part of the journey.
Yeah.
No doubt, man. Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to hold y'all up, man. I really appreciate y'all taking an hour to even talk to me, man. I really appreciate that, bro.
Man, appreciate the lookout, man.
Oh, yeah, man, of course. I hopefully maybe we could do a part 2 sometime. I'm not gonna hold y'all up any longer. Yeah. I'm gonna chop and screw this joint, try and get it together.
Right. Okay, cool.
And I'll send y'all a copy, man. So I'll upload it to like YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes.
For sure.
And I'll send y'all all the links. I'll make sure I put all your Instagram handles, Peace of Mind. I'll put all that in the description. I got you.
Oh man, good looking, bro.
All right, of course. But like I said,
keep doing what you do.
Hey, big bro. Yeah, man. I want to thank y'all so much, man. I tell you, I am a big supporter of you all, man. I love it. I love y'all's music, man. I love what you're doing, man. Thank you so much.
Hey, man, keep spreading the gospel, man.
Hey, come on, man.
Bro.
Hey, thank you so much.
I'm ready.
Happy holidays, L.
Hey, no doubt.
Happy holidays.
All right. Hey, y'all take it easy.
Peace.
You too. Peace.